Hello, everybody. I am going to make an entire meal. I'm going to make salmon patties or salmon fish cakes, lemon rice, asparagus, and a salsa that is really amazing. I loved this salsa verde. When I made it this week, it was just mighty fine. So here we go. First thing is turn on your oven because the asparagus is going in there to 425. And we'll be putting it in about 10 minutes or so. Then we've got a lot of different dishes going on. So I'm going to do as much of the prep as possible for each thing. So like 2 things, the cakes, the fish cakes and the rice have onions in them. So I'm going to chop up all of the onions together at the same time. Lemon juice, garlic, those are things that are common to all of them, and you might as well just do them all at the same time. First you need to do the lemon zest, and you always do that before you juice the lemon, because otherwise it just makes a big mess. And you need about a teaspoon, maybe a little more. Always, just sort of inexact, but maybe I'll do a little bit more than that. That's going to go, the zest is going to go into the rice. So got that. And then you need lemon juice in all of it. So we're just going to squeeze the lemon juice and keep squeezing because we need it for the fish cakes, for the rice, and then in the salsa. Though you could probably get away with not doing it in the salsa. You could use red wine vinegar if you wanted. That would be fine too. But I got the lemons, why not? So now, lemon juice, and half of this onion is going into the salmon cakes, and half is going into the rice. Now you could use shallots for both, or onion for one. It depends on what you have and whether you remembered to buy shallots, which I didn't. So
Kate, in the rice, could you use your preserved lemons?
Oh, yes. Yes, you can. I have, I chose not to because I wasn't sure how many people were making the preserved lemons, but I've made this lemon rice with preserved lemons. It it's a very different taste. Not different. I mean, obviously it's lemon and but there's a different quality to the taste, and it's really good. It's really good. I'm going to put half of this for. Actually, I'm going to fry up both of them together because I can then divide them up later. So here we go. Olive oil. And I'm just going to put both of these in to a pan. Garlic goes in everything too, of course. So I've got quite a few cloves, 5 or 6 cloves. That's up to you, and you could certainly use the jarred stuff from Trader Joe's. But I have a ton of garlic, so I'm chopping that up. And I'm just softening the onion up. I'll be adding the garlic later. Okay. So let's talk now. I'm going to make sure that this is now I'm going to start making the fish cakes. The onion and the garlic will go into that, but this, I'm making the sauce right now, the stuff that's going to just put it together. 2 eggs. Oops. 2 eggs, a little mayo, I know it says 1/4 cup, about, you know, it's about 1/4 cup. This is the eggs and the mayo are going to hold these together, hold the fish cakes together. Mustard, a little bit of Dijon mustard. Pepper. Salt. A dash of Worcestershire. Easy for me to say. Worcestershire sauce. Just a little bit. This is really interesting taste. Really interesting taste. I like using Old Bay seasoning, but you could just use salt and pepper and a little bit of paprika. If you didn't want to use Old Bay or you didn't have it or something, don't worry about it. And a little bit of lemon juice goes in there. And you're making this, you're mixing this until it gets nice and smooth, like that. And quite tasty. I'm going to throw in the garlic. Reserve a little bit out because I'm going to put some garlic into the salsa, but most of the garlic goes in there. It'll go into the fish cakes. It'll go into the rice. So this is pretty soft. It's a soft, the onions have browned around the edges a little bit. So I'm just going to put half in here. And I'm going to put the other half onto a plate to cool off slightly because you don't want to add it to the eggs real dead hot. You know, you just want it to be relatively cool so that it doesn't cook the eggs. Meantime, here we have this is your onion, and now I'm going to throw in the rice. The idea is to cook the rice, to cook the rice in the onions, garlic, olive oil. Maybe I'll throw in a little bit more olive oil. Not much. Toast that to make it be like a nice camel colored coat or something, you know, just nice. And that'll work. What I'm going to do now is I will be adding that once the rice is toasted. I'll add the lemon juice, wine, whatever. Now to this, I'm going to add, now the onions have pretty much cooled off, at least enough to where they're not going to cook the eggs in your sauce. So I'm going to put all of these in here. I'm moving from one thing to another thing, but that's what I would do if I were cooking along, you know, a regular meal and I wanted to get it all done in a half an hour, which is what I'm kind of aiming for. Thank you for playing with that. So, got this. You're going to add your salmon. Now, when I flaked this salmon, I cooked the salmon this afternoon and I flaked it, and I like big chunks of salmon, you know, good sized chunks. You can make it really, really fine, but I would do good sized salmon. And now, panko breadcrumbs. But I'm going to put in about a third of a cup and see how it works. And nope, I need much more. So I'm going to put in probably 2/3 of a cup. You're going to need to figure it out yourself. Oh, yes, Dina?
What is the consistency I'm looking for?
You're looking for something that holds together. That's why I didn't give you a really good measurement for the panko. Here's the rice. It's nice and brown. Good old pilaf. I'm going to put into the rice the lemon peel, lemon juice, more lemon juice, a little bit of wine, and veggie stock. This is vegetable stock from Better Than Bouillon. Going to put that all together. Maybe put in a little bit of salt, pepper. We're going to go to the stove in a few minutes anyway. And then when it comes to a boil, it's the usual rice. When it comes to a boil, clap the lid on it, set the timer for 10 minutes, no, 11 minutes, and then just let it go. And about now, I would be putting in the asparagus. So here goes. Got my asparagus. Trim off the ends. Throw it into a pan. Put olive oil. Salt and pepper. You've got herbs, you can put herbs on it now, but because I've got the salsa coming, there are going to be herbs everywhere. So I'm just leaving this plain. Salt, pepper, olive oil, and sticking it into a 450 oven, 425 oven for about 15, 20 minutes. And let's see about the now, if I were doing this ahead, you could make patties, put them in the refrigerator, and keep them for a good half hour. They would firm up. But since I'm not doing that because I don't want to, I'm going to probably use a little bit more filler than I would ordinarily. But it still isn't, you can see that that is really not, it's not mostly breadcrumb, it's mostly salmon. This is coming to a boil. Clap the lid on. Set it to 11 minutes and turn down the heat. Same pan that I used for frying up the other stuff, but I'm frying up the onions. But what I'm going to do is form the salmon patties, into cakes. I'm going to put a little bit of panko crumbs on the plate and then form them into and they kind of stick together. They're cool. And you don't have you know, a set amount. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller. It's totally up to you, just as long as they kind of stick together. Now I made 8 out of this the last time I did this. I think this will make 8 as well. Maybe 9. 1, 2, 3, no, 8. 8. But I'm going to ask you, Dina, to put these into the fridge for a little bit while I make the salsa. So Dina's going to put them into the fridge to kind of firm up a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of my hands, which are horrible. So now, what are we going to do? Salsa! Salsa Verde. And Salsa Verde can be made out of any herbs that you have around, any herbs that you like, any herbs that are just sitting in your garden or in your crisper, whatever. Now I have a ton of mint, just a ton. So before I did anything, before I, you know, was on the show, I took a lot of mint. So I've got a lot of mint that is going on the chopping board. This reminds me of the frittata that we made. I like cilantro, so I know you don't, Carrie, and I'd never make it for you, but there's cilantro. Green onions. Gonna do some green onions into this. All of this is optional. You don't have to do any of it. There was some garlic there. Go ahead, Dina, if you want.
Can I interject something?
Yeah.
I found out the other night I was watching Jacques Pepin, and he saves the, you know how I always throw away the stems from after you chop up your, the stems from the cilantro. He puts them in cling wrap and throws them in the freezer. And then when he's going to make a soup, he takes them out and dices them real thin, still frozen, and throws them in. I never knew that.
I just did that for red beans and rice, which I just made.
There you go. The same. Yeah.
And yeah, they're just mighty fun. So here's the onions. Let's see. Oh, I know. A little bit of parsley, never hurt anybody. So I've already washed this. I washed this in advance anyway. So I've got all of the herbs all together. And we're just going to have a chopping spree. Now, with this, you could put it in a food processor, but I always, unless I'm making it ahead of time, I don't put it in the food processor because I have to clean it. It's just me. But the idea is you chop all of this stuff fine. this makes a lovely sauce, and it can make it, you know, it all depends on the herbs that you have. Dill would be great in here, chives, anything you want. The mint makes it kind of an interesting thing. I never thought of putting mint together with salmon. I just never thought of that. And it turned out to be very interesting. So we're chopping, and you can see the volume has really gone down on this. You keep folding it over so that there isn't stuff that's on the edge that isn't chopped. This can be as fine or as not fine as you want. Again, food processor would make this a hell of a lot easier, but like I said, I don't do it because of, I don't want to clean it. And then you just put it into a bowl. Oops, don't want that. You put it into a bowl. You put a little bit of salt, pepper, lemon juice, and a tiny touch of olive oil. And I'm going to throw in a little bit more. I'm going to put in some red wine vinegar, just because I can, and who cares? So there we go. Your sauce is now made. And this, I know it sounds like, oh, that's way too simple, but it tastes delicious and fresh and wonderful. So if you would get me the fish cakes, I'm going to move this over. Turn on the heat. And a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. Let that get good and hot. Now you don't want the fish cakes to be crowded. So you're not going to put all of them in there. You want them somewhat crisp. You want them to crisp up. And now these are totally cooked. The only thing that you're doing is heating them all the way through. Oh, and cooking the egg. But you know how quickly egg cooks. So oh, it should be a little bit hotter. Let's give it a couple of seconds more. Now, if these had been in the refrigerator for a half an hour, they would be very firm and be just right. So go. But you know, the onion is cooked, the salmon is cooked. The only thing that isn't cooked is the egg, and the egg cooks quickly. So you're pretty much set. Last one for this pan. It's important when you're cooking something and you want it to be nice and crispy to not disturb it. Thank you. To not disturb it in the pan. Just let it get nice and crispy and good. The rice has been going now for 10 minutes, so 1 more minute to go. There you go. I lied. It's now done. Turn that off. Let it sit there while you cook these. This is about 4 minutes per side. And if you get me a nice plate, for the salmon. There we go. About 4 minutes, something like that. This dinner becomes really very quick if you've done these ahead of time. Like if I were doing a dinner party, I would probably have them done before I came home and covered in the refrigerator. And then you're just cooking them for 4 minutes per side. But you can see that you can get all of it done in about a half an hour, which is, yeah, it's about a half an hour from when we started. So, and let's check on the asparagus. The asparagus looks lovely. And it's just done the way I like it. So I'm going to put that over there. Stay warm. And now it's nice and brown on one side. I'm going to turn this down slightly so that it's not going to go crazy. Go. And I'm going to look at beautiful, beautiful rice. Fluff that rice up a little bit. All is well. Salmon cakes. So I'm going to serve it up. I'm going to serve up a little bit of asparagus. I'm going to plate that up. A bit of the lemon rice. A couple of, let's see if these are done. Couple salmon cake. And a bit of salsa. And there we have it. Salmon cakes, lemon rice, asparagus. So there you have it. That's the dinner, and it's about a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. If you make it in advance, you're set. You know, you've got it. But like, I wouldn't mind making this for a dinner party, because it's one of those things that's, though I've got to tell you, you have to kind of check and see if people like fish cakes. Because I have a friend who doesn't like fish cakes at all, and I'd never make it for her. So there you have it. Fish cakes, lemon rice, asparagus. And it just is one of those dinners that is like springtime. Any questions? No?
I'm
It looks
excited to try
so
that.
good. Oh my God, that looks good.
No, I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
Good dinner. Yeah. What are you saying, Carrie?
Oh, I just said this looks so good. I didn't do the salsa or the asparagus. Noelle won't eat asparagus. Who knows? But but she's not big on condiments. So like, we'll eat it clean with the rice. She'll love the rice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those menus that you can do. The other night I had it with potatoes. Actually, I put garlic and lemon on the roasted potatoes, and it was delicious. So there you have it. That's what we're having for dinner tonight. My
I also
sister's
highly
here.
recommend my hamburger flipper.
The people who live in this house are here. So
Hey, Kate, what kind of salmon did you use?
the on sale.
The on sale kind. Okay.
Crab.
So it doesn't really matter.
I used I'm sure it was Atlantic salmon, but it was on sale for $7.99 a pound, and I did a pound of salmon, and it was delicious. You know,
It looks beautiful.
I had the I had to try it out because I wasn't going to poison you, and I tried it out, and it was mighty fine. It was
Oh,
very
it looks so gorgeous. I can't wait. That's tomorrow night's menu.
good. I know.
Did you steam it first?
I baked it. Now, you can do whatever you want. I put it in the toaster oven for 20 minutes. And yeah, I put seasoning on it, so that's why I didn't put as much seasoning into the fish cakes, because I'd already seasoned the salmon. But
Looks great.
I know, so
Tasty.
yummy.
so next week, I would really like to make a pavlova.
Ooh,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Marshmallows. Pavlova is a egg whites with that gets baked in an oven. Now I'm going to bake it ahead of time, but I'll make one, and I'll bake one ahead of time, because it's got to stay in the oven for a long time. And you turn off the oven, you bake it, and then you turn off the oven and leave it in the oven. And I haven't made a pavlova in a really long time, but I have the lemon curd.
Oh.
I have the lemon curd and
sliced strawberries.
strawberries. It's strawberry season, and I'm just thinking that a pavlova would be a mighty fun thing to make.
Sounds mighty fine.
So there you go. I'm going to try, and I'll make one. I'm going to make one, I think, for Curtis and and when I go up to Palm Springs and this weekend, then I'll make one for you guys. So
Perfect.
we'll have, you know, things are beginning to open up. It's beginning to feel much more like normal. And maybe even the pool might be open sometime soon, Joni.
Yeah, they said it's open, but they have a equipment problem.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to call them tomorrow and find out,
Yes.
but we will see. And but next week, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And if that's okay with you, I'll do pavlova. And I hope you try this, because this is really, really a good dinner. And I'm glad that you're making it for Noel, Carrie. So thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I will talk to you again. Take care.
Thanks, Kate. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Have a good week.
There's Dina.
Bye, Dina.
Bye, Dina.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, okay. Bye, Pam.
That was a good one.
Bye-bye. That was-
Well,
Try this.
I was in the middle of doing a bunch of different things. See, what, you didn't get confused, did you? No.
No, I thought that was great. It made sense.
Yeah. I don't like doing one recipe and then following it all the way to the end and then doing another recipe.
Because
Particularly
that's
if
not
I
how you would do it in real life.
That was perfect. No, I can't wait to make it too. Thank you so much.